Hello and welcome to the Etoft21sports Show for October 25th. How is everyone doing? My name is Eric and I am the man behind Etoft21sports. You can find my work on Twitter at Etoft21, on Instagram at Etoft21sports_ and on TikTok at Etoft21sports. Like I said, great show for you planned. My boy Mike, host of the Coastal Covers podcast, he's going to be coming on. We're going to talk some NFL. Tell you what bets to lock in. There's a lot of stuff going on in the league. Trades, Matt Ryan getting benched. We'll be talking about that. Also, Gino's going to be telling you his horse racing bet of the day. Let's see what Gino's got it cooking for us tomorrow at Keeneland.
For this week's play, let's head back to Keeneland for race number 5. And let's move all the way to the outside to the number 11, Catnip. This is a 3-year-old who is lightly raced. He's only raced 3 times. His first race came back in February, and it was a really good third. He was kind of off slow, and he started to get going late. And he was off from February to August. He showed back up on August the 9th at Colonial, and he won nicely in his first start back. He won going a mile and an eighth. They thought enough of him out of that race to take a shot against Graded Stakes Company in the Virginia Derby, and they just found that race a little bit too tough. What I like is the versatility that he's shown. In his debut, we saw that he can come from off the pace and he can pass horses. In his most recent races, he's shown a little bit more positional, kind of tactical speed. And I think from the outside, he can have some options there. He can sit close if need be, and he shouldn't have to worry about getting hooked all that wide in there. That's the number 11, Catnip. I have him more like a 7-2, 4-1 shot in here. So if we can get anything around that price, I think that's very fair. Third start off the long layoff. The number 11, Catnip, in race number 5 at Keeneland on Wednesday. Tune in every week for a horse racing play on Erik's show. And if you ever need help handicapping the races, or you need to find a place to find some research and analysis and information, best place to go is drf.com. Good luck.
Guys, make sure you give my boy Gino a follow at It's Me, Gino B. I'm on his podcast every single Friday talking NFL or NBA, whatever is in season. Then him and I are live Friday night on BTV talking college football with my boy XFL Jim, and Sunday morning we are live on BTV with Kyle talking some NFL. Speaking of NFL, we're going to be talking NFL with our boy Mike from the Coastal Covers podcast. But before we get into that, I have to plug the sponsor of the show, Pointsbet. Looking for a sports book? Download the Pointsbet app. Use promo code Etoft21. That way they know I sent you. You can get a 100% deposit match. One of the best books to use. I absolutely love that sports book. Now, without further ado, let's bring on Mike to the show. Mike, how you doing today, my man? You ready to talk some NFL, dude? A lot of stuff happening.
What's going on, brother? How you been, man? It's been a while since I've been on. I'm happy to be back. And I think what we're all wanting to know is, when are you going to get on and start talking about every show on television with Gino B?
I mean, Gino and I do a lot together, man. I mean, like, I talked to Gino. It was kind of weird. Like, he sent me a message today. Hey, man, we haven't talked today. Just want to say hi. You know, him and I talk literally every single day. Great guy. You got some stuff going on with your Coastal Covers podcast. I'm not going to lie. That's my guilty pleasure when I'm going on my little morning. How can I say this? I want to say run on the treadmill, but let's be realistic. A stern walk on the treadmill. Okay.
I feel you, man. I just got back at the gym myself. It's rough going to start.
First comment. My boy Bobby has a message. I think it's directed toward you.
Oh yeah, what you got?
Tennessee going down this weekend.
I don't know. I don't know about that. That's got to be a Beho off BTV in disguise, I think. I am actually taking the 12.5 points with Kentucky, though.
Yeah, I'm for sure taking that. Before we dive in, those first time watching and everything, this is how the show works. 3 takeaways from the previous week. We talk about 3 bets that we have locked in or looking to lock in, because this is early in the week. There's a lot of variables going on. But before we dive into all that, we have some big things. Obviously, the first, I don't even know the term, the first trade, CMC to the 49ers. What's your initial take on that?
My initial take is, I'm wondering if the Buffalo Bills didn't offer up enough for the Panthers for them to get him, because I thought that would have made a little more sense there. I'm not going to say the Niners get worse, obviously, by adding Christian McCaffrey. It's fine. But they gave up a lot, and I feel like they already had a lot of pieces there, especially when you consider Debo can run out of the backfield too if you need him. I don't know. Interesting move. I think it's going to put him in some tight cap situations moving forward. But hey, I guess it helps him in the short term.
I look at it like this. Like when you look at the Bills, like you can sit back and you can say, hey, they need an upgrade at the running back position for them to like get to the next level. But then when I look at the 49ers, it's not like, hey, they need an upgrade at the running back position. I'm more worried about their offensive line, their injuries in their defensive line, their injuries in their back four. And then like you factor in the fantasy aspect. In Carolina, he was the only game in town. Now you got Kittle, Debo, Ayuk, Elijah Mitchell coming back, Jeff Wilson. You got so much stuff going on there. Yeah, I don't. It's a head scratching move to say the least. And when you think about drafting, this what was it last year? It was Mitchell. This year it was Davis. They've spent 2 premium picks on running backs. Now you trade for CMC and lose more draft capital. That just doesn't make sense to me.
No, to me either. Especially when you're talking a guy that's made of glass. I mean, I love CMC, but he's injury prone, and you gave up a lot for him. So I don't know. We'll see. I don't think that's the move that puts him, crest the mountain. But hard to say they got worse, I guess.
Now, my boy, favorite player in the league, James Robinson, got traded to the Jets. What's your thought on that?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. The trade makes sense. James Robinson, this is the last year of his rookie deal. Probably not going to be a Jaguar next year. So Jets, we all know they're not a real contender. However, they're in a good spot right now. So you lose Breece Hall, you bring in James Robinson, you don't give up a whole hell of a lot for him. Jags, I think it's pretty predictable that Etienne's going to get hurt. I mean, it's going to happen. He's not made to be a bell cow back. So it'll be interesting to see the breakdown there for your fantasy guys. I guess jump on Etienne early, but going forward, I think he's going to get hurt. I wouldn't go trading your whole farm for him if you're in a league. So good trade for both teams as of now, I think, though.
Is this statement crazy? The Jaguars had Reggie Bush, Mark Ingram 2.0, and Peterson couldn't figure out how to use them.
It's not crazy. I don't think Peterson's the greatest coach. I think he just kind of got lightning in a bottle there with Philly. Yeah. He's a good coach coming off to fix the Urban Meyer debacle, similar to how he had to fix the Chip Kelly thing. But, moving forward, I don't think he always knows how to use the personnel in the best way. And, I'm not expecting big things from the Jags moving forward, to be honest. But there you have it.
I love this move. For, like you said, for the Jets. I think they got someone 1-year rental, replace Hall. If Robinson is able to do anything, he's all coming off that devastating Achilles injury. He's going to be able to make some money in the offseason. In terms of the Jaguars, I think they're a hot mess right now. I don't like this move. I'm not an Etienne guy like you think. I think it's only a matter of time before he gets hurt. So I'm not I'm not a proponent of this. This one kind of is a head scratcher for me. Matt Ryan was benched. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. So, I mean, you could look at it and see, the 9 interceptions, the 11 fumbles. I get it, but he's new to the team, and you're not going to, it's not a situation like Trubisky in Pittsburgh where you're going to Kenny Pickett. The crowd wanted Kenny Pickett. Everybody wants that to happen. This is a 6th-round pick. Now, I will say, Ehlinger, that's an interesting guy to get in the 6th round. A lot of people don't know this. You know who the single season rushing touchdown leader at all time for Texas is in a single season? It's Ehlinger. It's not Vince Young. He had 16 rushing touchdowns in one season. So that's impressive. He brings some interesting things to the table. However, this early in the year, you're still in the hunt. I mean, this is a bad division. The Titans got a lot of games coming up. The Chiefs, the Packers at Lambeau, the Bengals, the Eagles at the Link. They got the Chargers. They have the Cowboys. Things can go south for Tennessee. I'm not completely sold on them. And the rest of the division's trash. So I think it's a little early to have sold out on Matt Ryan, a guy who's had the career he's had. And you gave him, almost half a season to get into the swing of things in a new environment. head scratcher to me too. I don't think Ellinger is the guy you go to in this spot unless you're just selling out the season.
Now, am I crazy? I think the offense is going to be run heavy with a lot of Jonathan Taylor. Why weren't they doing that before? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why weren't you doing that before? Makes zero sense. Zero sense.
Yeah, I mean,
him, and now, you know what I mean? I don't know. I think to me, this is a desperate move by Frank Reich to keep his job.
Yeah, I mean, I think, fantasy wise, the takeaway is get ready to play a whole bunch of Jonathan Taylor if you weren't already. But also look a little bit at Ollie Cox, the tight end. Ellinger is he's not going to be back there gunslinging. It's going to be a lot of check down type stuff. It's going to be a very conservative offense. So you said it, man. Head scratch and move. I don't quite get this one.
Matt asks, "What's up with the Bucks? Just look awful." What do you think about that?
I got something on the Bucks coming up on my my second takeaway. So I'm gonna take a pause and I'll get to it.
We'll save it. We'll discuss it then. Now let's shift our attention to the takeaways. We're gonna take turns. What is your first takeaway?
Yeah, so I'm a Cowboys fan, man. So I am an NFC East guy. That's the division I watch. My first takeaway is I want everybody that watches these NFC East teams, you know how it is. We're a passionate fan base. We get fucking pumped, Take a step back and calm down because things are going to get a little tougher. We've played a lot of soft places in our schedule so far. A lot of suspect wins, a lot of tough games coming up for each of the teams. I mean, the Giants, they had a 1-point win over the Titans in week 1. That's cool. 4-point win over the Ravens in week 6. Okay. But the rest of their wins, pretty suspect. The Eagles beat the Vikings in week 2, but that was a Kirk Cousins primetime game. We know how that goes. He doesn't play well in those spots. Cowboys got a win over the Bengals coming off the Super Bowl hangover, the Super Bowl appearance. They beat the Rams coming off the Super Bowl win hangover. Here's the point. There's going to be a lot of cannibalization in this division as the season goes on, and things are going to get tougher down the stretch. I am expecting whatever teams come out of the NFC East, get into the playoffs, even if it's my beloved Cowboys, first round playoff loss. That's my takeaway. Don't get too excited.
Well, here's the thing. I am heavily invested. Oh, and my boy just sent it in here. He must, he asked me who to bet. We are heavily invested in the Eagles at 30-1. Heavily invested in the Eagles at 30-1. I like it, dude. I agree with you 100%. I could totally see the Eagles being like 14-3 and losing that first game in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Which would break my heart. Break my heart. My first takeaway is this. The Lions totally messed up when they hired Matt Patricia instead of Mike Vrabel. In 2018, the Lions hired Patricia instead of Vrabel because he had ties to Bob Quinn, the then GM of the Lions. Patricia, during his time with the Lions, had a 13-29 record, finished last every single time in the North. The Lions then turned to Dan Campbell. His record, 4-15. I know he got a lot of hype going into the this year with with that show on HBO, Hard Knocks. He's just not cutting it. If they would have hired Vrabel, what could have been? He is 45-26, 63% winning percentage, 3 playoff appearances, 2 playoff wins. It makes you wonder what would have been, because when you sit back and you kind of just look at what the Lions had talent-wise, and then what the Titans had talent-wise, I think he could have got them to the playoffs, got them playoff wins. And then you just think about the trickle-down effect. Stafford doesn't get traded to the Rams. Then that means Russ doesn't get traded to the Broncos because it's a copycat league. Ryan doesn't get traded. Like, you just think if that one move, how much the NFL would change today if the Lions would have made the right hire. And you know what? They're going to have to do a hard reset again because Campbell's not cutting it. And I just hope to God, as a Lions fan, I'm rocking the Lions hat right now, that they get the hire right.
Man, it's fun to watch that trail of events that could happen. I mean, I think the biggest one ever was the Drew Brees physical. What if he would have went to the Dolphins when Saban was there? Instead, you got Dante Culpepper. So it is funny how one thing like that, one decision or one instance, can change the landscape of multiple sports, multiple teams. It's insane. So that's an awesome point.
Takeaway number 2. What you got?
Yeah, so this is where we're gonna get into Bucks, but mostly we're gonna talk legends. I think we could all agree it's funny for all of us to get to watch these guys, Rodgers and Brady, struggle all these weeks, right? It's funny to watch Rodgers take psychedelics in the offseason and forget how to win home games at Lambeau against Taylor Heineke. It's funny to watch Brady's whole life implode and everything just go to hell because he had to come back for one more season. But what do we know, man? When they miss those beginning, the training camps and you're not there, it takes a little bit to get going, especially Brady. He wasn't there for anything up until the season started. So it takes a little bit for these guys to get going. We used to see it with Favre all the time, who would have the offseason drama and then finally show up when the season started. And it would take him a few weeks to get going, get into form. So I think that's what's going on a lot with Tom Brady, specifically of the Bucs, but Aaron Rodgers too. They both lost some of their, Tom Brady lost his security blanket. Rob Gronkowski really didn't fill those shoes. We all know Rodgers lost Devontae Adams, and he's not finding a weapon for them. They didn't replace that at all. So I think that's the thing we all love right now. And we all love to say, like, this is going to hell. These guys suck now, blah, blah, blah. Statistically, it doesn't quite show up, but you see it on the field, it's a little off. Here's the thing. I was looking through, and I knew this, but I didn't really, look at it until today. I was really looking at the NFC outside of Brady, Rodgers, and Stafford. Holy hell, is the quarterback situation questionable in the NFC. So here's what I'm going to say. The Bucs are in a terrible division. They're still going to make the playoffs. The Packers could still possibly make the playoffs. They're not in a great division either. If those teams get in the playoffs, we're all laughing at Brady and Rodgers now. Look out. Look out.
They could make a run. They could easily make a run. And I'm invested in the Falcons 25-1 to win that South. As crazy as it sounds. And I'm worried just because I think it's only a matter of time because they figure it out. I mean, they're obviously missing Arians. I think him not being there is a big docker to what's going on in the Bucs. And with the Packers, I know Rodgers gets a lot of the flack, but last year that defense was nails, dude. That defense was nails last year, and they've just drafted some rookies that aren't doing anything. So I agree with you. I mean, if those teams are dangerous, and maybe they're the team that comes out and that we need to start investing on futures in, because I love finding a good juicy future. And I'm gonna throw one out to you right now. It's out in left field. Tell me what you think about it. Okay, it's 8-1. That's a good price, right? 8-1.
Yeah, that ain't bad.
The Cardinals needed an adult in the room, and now that D-Hop is back, they have an adult. They have a leader in the room, and I think we need to start considering taking some Cardinals futures. The Rams have issues on the offensive line, tough schedule to end the season. The 49ers, issues in the trenches, both offensive and defensive line, and in the back four, and Jimmy G at quarterback. So they have some stuff going against them. Plus, they have a tough schedule. Seahawks are way overachieving right now, and we know it's only a matter of time before they come back down to earth. Cardinals' schedule is workable. You look at Kyler Murray's splits when he has D-Hop, when he doesn't have D-Hop. Night and day. I think they're live at 8-1 to make the to win the NFC West. And if you don't want to play that because you think there's no way, they're still plus 360 just to make the playoffs. I think there are value on the Cardinals in the future market right now to make the playoffs or to win the West.
I actually would jump on that 360 to make the playoffs. I like that one. I have trouble trusting Kyler Murray. All the reasons everybody knows, Call of Duty, all that stuff. The kid, he's just a child. He's a big child, and it worries me. And I do think the Hopkins things, it helps. it helps having him around to reel that man in a little bit. But I like them to make the playoffs because they have the talent to do so. Too much more than that, I start getting out because I worry about his just preparation from week to week and Cliff having the set on him to put that man in his place and get him to do the things he's supposed to do.
And one more thing to remember. And now I read that when I was looking at Football Outsiders today, I saw this number. I had to do a quadruple take. Okay. Seahawks, Kenneth Walker. They got the running game going. 49ers, Kyle Shanahan running game. McVay running game. Cardinals are 6th DVOA defending the run. So their defense has been playing better. Cowboys or Eagles for the NFC East?
I think you got to go Eagles.
Yeah, I think you got to go Eagles too.
I think they're the more complete team.
Yeah, I think you got to go Eagles too. Third takeaway, what you got?
Yeah, so the last time I was on this show, we talked about a division that had this team in it. We talked about the Los Angeles Chargers in that preview that we did. And my third takeaway is I know this team's banged up, but I'm really hoping that the Los Angeles Chargers use this bye week to figure out how to play defense. I really expected more out of this team. 22nd in total yards, 26th in rushing yards allowed. That is bad. Your defensive stats will normally look good for passing when you have a poor rush defense because teams are just running the ball. The teams love when they can just come in, hey, the game plan, we're going to run the ball on the Chargers, except they're 18th against the pass as well. We're talking about a team that's given up 27 points per game. That's 30th in the league. They've played the Jags, who they gave up 38 points to, the Texans, who they gave up 24 points to. And you just talked about my man, Kenneth Walker, who I love, but in just his second game with steady minutes in the NFL, they gave up 168 yards on the ground to Kenneth Walker alone. That's just insane to me. So the second half of the season, it could get pretty tough. They got the Falcons on the schedule. They're 4th in the league in rushing. They got the 49ers, the Chiefs, the Cardinals, the Raiders, the Dolphins, all coming to town consecutively in a row. If they don't figure out how to play defense, I think this team that I really thought could have kind of a juggernaut regular season, I think things could get a little ugly for them, and I'm kind of concerned.
I have them 24-1. I'm concerned too, man. Like I was really high, and they just aren't looking right. You know, JC Jackson's out now.
Yeah.
They traded for Mac. Yeah, they got some issues on the defense. The defense is not looking good at all, and I'm concerned. My third takeaway, Jets are winning game. Good for them. They still aren't that good. Let's just pump the brakes. They still aren't that good. They beat the Steelers when my boy Trubisky got benched. Pickett came in on no practice time. Big whoop. That doesn't impress me. Dolphins playing their third string quarterback who had 0 practice time because Bridgewater got hurt. Drove them down the field. Sanders hooked a field goal, and then the wheels just fell off. If that field goal goes in, Miami's winning that game in the fourth quarter with Skylar Thompson as their quarterback. Defeated the Packers, and you just talked about it. Packers aren't looking that good right now. Can't stop the run. They beat the Broncos, who had their backup quarterback Ripken in there, and Brandon McManus, who's historically good at Mile High, misses a field goal and an extra point. If he would have made those, the Broncos, that game is right there. That game's going into OT because they would have kicked that field goal in the fourth quarter. Completely everything just flipped off. As soon as I can get this team when they're laying points, I'm fading them. And I hope the public comes in. So this game this weekend's a pick because I never lay points on the road. But I'll play the money line if it's a pick 'em on the road. So if I can get the Patriots at a pick 'em, or the next time the Jets are laying points, I'm totally fading this team because I'm not sipping the Kool-Aid.
I'm right on board with you, man. I'm right on board with that. We'll talk more on that game later.
All right. So now we're at the part we're going to our 3 bets. What is your first bet?
Yeah, I'm gonna have the Thursday night primetime game on Amazon Prime. I'm gonna go with the Bucks to get right, man. This is a perfect spot. I think to take Brady and the Bucks on primetime, just getting shelled by the helpless Panthers. They have no coach. They have no quarterback. They have no Christian McCaffrey, and they got their asses whooped. I'm going to go ahead and say Brady's going to get right. I'm taking the +2. I'm taking the money line. Ravens are 26th in the league at defending the pass. They're hitting the road, coming down to Tampa. I expect a little bit of a shootout here. I like the over 45, and I like Lamar to make a late mistake and the Bucks to get the win.
See, that's funny because I went on a show before this, and that was the bet I gave out. So great minds think alike. I like the Bucks here a lot. Ravens have some issues in the back. They're not getting to the passer. Back four is awful. I think Brady's going to be able to pick it apart. I agree with you 100%. My first bet. Now, this line's been moving a lot. I'm on the Texans this week, but I'm waiting. Okay. Opened up at 4. Early in the day, it was down to 1. Now it's about 2.5. I think it's going to get back up to 4 because I really feel that Ryan Tannehill is going to play. And once that's announced, it will get back up to 4. And even if Malik Willis is playing and I can still get plus points on the Texans, I'm still going to be locked in. I say it every week. There's certain coaches I play as a dog, fade as a favorite. On the top of that list, actually, he's right. There's 3 coaches, and one of them is Mike Vrabel. Vrabel is 44% ATS as a road favorite. Plus, everyone knows that I love taking home divisional dogs. The last 2.5 years, the Texans against AFC South teams as a dog, 67% ATS. Titans are the best team in the red zone in the NFL this year. Let me repeat that. The Titans are the best team in the NFL in the red zone this year. They're due for some regression. I think the Texans found something with Pierce. I think this is a get right spot for Brandon Cooks against Titans secondary, which is bad. And I think this is a get right spot for Davis Mills. So I love Texans here. I'm going to wait though. I'm going to try to get it, at the 4 when it's announced that Tannehill goes. But I have no problem playing the 2 and the 2.5 just because I just love the spot for the Texans.
I'm right on board with you there. And I like that you bring up Pierce. Every year, it seems like there's a guy when fantasy leagues start up and you see a guy on the list and it's everybody saying, oh, this guy's a sleeper pick. And Pierce was one of those guys this year. But usually I'm looking at him and I'm like, what are they seeing off this guy? But me being a college guy, I remember Pierce, with Florida, and that man was a monster. That was a hell of a pickup for them.
Yeah, he's a dog, dude. He's an absolute dog. I love him. Second bet, what you got?
Yeah, man. I'm not a big fan of laying points on the road either, but I am going to lay the 2.5 that I'm seeing currently with the Pats on the road. And I know, the 2.5 usually isn't a popular side of the number to lay either, but I'm not buying in on this Jets team. I think they are going to get action. I think you can wait till later in the week and get it back on as a dog probably. So, they got James Robinson. He's probably not going to play this week anyway. It's his first week there. He's hurt, everything. He's got a Q tag anyway. He's probably not going to be a factor. Breece Hall's out. The MILF Hunter ain't doing anything at quarterback against Belichick. I'm not worried about it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the Pats. I'm going to say they figure out the quarterback situation and get this one done because the Jets are fraudulent.
Well, first of all, I have to say in gambling, I can say this because this guy is one of my friends. He's my boy, but he's new to the game. I think the word lock is the biggest 4-letter word in gambling. I hate using that. But I'm trying to teach this kid the ropes. I don't know. It all depends on the number. I think that we could get some Godwin over props on Thursday night. I think that'd be interesting because the Ravens back secondary struggles a little bit. And then I'm going to kind of look at Melvin Gordon props just because the Jags give up the second most receiving yards per game to opposing running backs. So do you have any player props you're kind of looking at or anything?
Dude, honestly, I'm not a big player prop guy, so no, I don't. But I will second your I take usually about a 2-minute rant every single one of my podcast episodes to explain why I don't use the word lock unless I accidentally use the word lock and correct myself. And I say, I really, really like this game. I hate the word lock in gambling.
Yeah. But you know what? I'm trying to teach this kid. He's my boy. I've known him for a while. We don't use the word lock here. And in terms of player props, remind me, I'm going to show you a little toy I have at the end of this that helps me with the player props. And I'm sure as soon as you see it, you're going to be pro player prop too. My second bet is I'm going to the Saints plus the 2. Who are the Raiders to be laying this many points on the road or laying points at all on the road? Look back at their game last week. The game was a 4-point game going into the fourth. Texans were going for it on 4th and 1. False start, back it up, punt. Okay. Raiders drove down, 4-point game. Raiders, it's obvious they're going to draw them off sides. Guy in the Texans jumps. They get a touchdown. Then they go up 11. Then a late pick 6. So that's a very misleading 18-point win on the scoreboard. That was a lot close. Carr, 5-11-1 ATS as a road favorite. That's 31%. As a favorite on the East Coast in games that start at 1 p.m., 30% ATS. The Raiders' defense is a mess. They are 30th DVOA. So the Saints will be able to take advantage of that. Also, they're 20th DVOA defending the run, 23rd DVOA defending running backs in the receiving game. Oh, wait, who's good in the receiving game? Alvin Kamara. I think this is a great Alvin Kamara spot. I think he's going to be all over the field. I think he's going to exploit the holds that the Raiders have. I love the Saints here plus a 2. Also, word on the street is Lattimore is coming back. He is going to lock down Devontae Adams. After last week, he has played the most snaps without allowing the touchdown. And I would grant he hasn't played for 2 weeks, so it can be a little misleading. The most snaps without allowing a touchdown for a cornerback. That's pretty impressive.
That's insane.
Third and final bet. What are you working with?
Yeah, I'm going to go with your Falcons laying 4.5 at home. I like this side of it.
My baby Falcons. I love that team.
Yeah, there you go. They're playing the Panthers. Panthers are a bad team coming off a big win. Got no quarterback. They're hitting the road. Have no coach. I love to auto fade a team coming off a big, surprising win like that. The Falcons are running the ball right now, 4th in the entire league. Panthers, 21st in the league against the run, give up 121 yards and 7.1 yards per carry against a guy named Jeff Wilson for the 49ers a few weeks ago. They gave up 141 yards against Chubb to start the season. I expect both Allgeier and Cordell Patterson to have big games, to have success on the ground. Mariota, all he has to do is not turn the ball over, which he's been pretty okay with this year. So I think it's smooth sailing for the Falcons. I'm laying the 4.5.
So let me ask you about this future bet. I love my future. I love big prices. Am I crazy? I locked this bet in. Arthur Smith, coach of the year, 35-1.
No, I don't think so at all. You're in a bad division. The team's moving along smoothly. I mean, all they have to do is play good defense and run the football. That's the key to winning in the NFL. If they make noise, get to the playoffs, improvement like that out of a team that nobody expected to do anything, yeah, he's got a shot.
And I mean, yeah, I think if they make the playoffs, I think it's his. I think he wins it.
Yeah, I agree.
mean, my last bet, and I kind of hinted at it, I'm taking the Cardinals plus the 4. I think the Vikings are a bluff. I'm sorry. You look at them, week 1, they beat the Packers. Packers, along with not having like first game without Devontae Adams, they didn't have their starting right and left tackle. And then for whatever reason, there was no Jair Alexander shadowing Jefferson. As soon as they did that, Jefferson was locked down. Primetime Cousins, they lost to the Eagles. They should have lost to the Lions. Waddle fumble with Teddy Bridgewater and Skylar Thompson playing. A double doink in London with the Saints playing their backups. They've just gotten very lucky with how they're winning games. But granted, they're winning games, which is the most important thing. I mentioned I'm high on the Cardinals moving forward, and I say it every time. These numbers are going to absolutely blow your mind. Okay. There's certain coaches I like taking as a dog, fading as a favorite. Cliff Kingsbury is an utter insane 21, 9-2 ATS as a dog, 70%. As a road dog, he is 15, 3-2 against the number. That's 83%. Cousins as a favorite, 43% ATS, 43% ATS is a home favorite. Vikings defense isn't good. 24th total defense, 24th in both passing and rushing defense. James Conner is going to be coming back. That's an immediate upgrade to the running game. Plus, they have this new toy in Eno Benjamin that is helping them move the ball even more. And I think they're going to be able to take advantage with the Vikings run defense. And then you bring in D-Hop, Robbie Anderson, extended week to get used to the offense, Zach Ertz, Rondale Moore. This team's trending in the right direction. I like the Cardinals here, plus the 4. And like we talked about earlier, they're 6 DVOA against the run. They're going to be able to limit Dalvin Cook. You got Baker on Justin Jefferson. I like the Cardinals here. I'm going to sprinkle on the money line too. Cardinals straight up. I'm calling it.
I'm down with that play. I actually like that play a lot. I can't believe those Kingsbury numbers, dude. I did not know that.
Dude, it's absolutely insane. For how much he gets shit on, he covers games as a dog. I mean, 70% against the number as a dog is absolutely insane, dude.
I honestly think it's just the way he looks and being kind of a younger guy. I think people just love to hate him, but he's always caught flack all the way back to his Texas Tech days when he did exactly what every other Texas Tech coach has ever done. So
speaking of,
people love to hate on that dude, but those stats even blew my mind.
Now you're a college guy, you know, I'm putting you on the spot here. How bad does my boys in East Lansing just get completely boat raced against Michigan?
Oh man, and they're baiting people with that 22 I'm seeing right now too. I'm taking the Wolverines. I think they're gonna make a pretty big statement here in Ann Arbor. Yeah, I'm laying the 22.
Oh my God, we're gonna get killed. Mike, you have a phenomenal podcast. Why don't you tell everybody when it comes out and how they can find it and everything?
Yeah, so we're on all the major platforms. You got Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music. It's even out there somewhere on Audible. It's on Anchor. So every Wednesday at noon, I release my weekly picks, the slate, the picks for the week of the slate. So tomorrow, for example, noon, week 9, college football picks. Every single game against the spread will be laid out. Like I said, there will be no locks, but there will be games that I really, really like. Other than that, I do reaction shows typically every Monday. Those are just kind of available on Monday. So there we have it, man.
Matt says go blue. My response, go green, go white. Even though I know we're going to get boat raced. One more question for you. Is TCU going to face another backup quarterback this week?
No, I don't think so. But I think TCU is going to struggle. They're going to struggle. You don't fade West Virginia and Morgantown. That is my advice to anybody looking at that game. Don't fade West Virginia in Morgantown. And hey, it's homecoming.
Hey, I like West Virginia straight up there. I'm going to take the plus 7.5. Mike, thanks for coming on. I look forward to talking to you some more. Reminder, I have to show you something off air that you're going to absolutely love. Etoft21sports Show will be back next week with Jason Silva from Betfred. So make sure to check that out.